Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of Rival Talk. This will be, our third year of Rival Talk kicking off. We're getting into the preseason here. Training camps are full-fledged underway. Just had the Hall of Fame game the other night, so football's back. It's getting going. So, Marcus, how you doing? Good to be talking to you again on a regular basis
third
here.
time's a charm, right? Year three, third time. We'll get it right this year.
Right. Well, it's got to be third time's a charm for me to finally, win in the picks this year. So.
Congratulations on your victory. I don't think there's any way you lose.
Well, hey, we're changing up the format, so it's probably going to favor me this year finally. So.
Oh yeah, you're right. You changed up the format to benefit yourself. I remember now.
Well, you made your own channel. You do it on your channel.
Fair enough. I don't want you. I'm good.
All right. Well, yeah. So preseason's getting going here. We've got the games coming up soon. I guess you can call us week one of preseason. I guess I don't really think we consider the Hall of Fame game to be a week necessarily. It's just
Yeah.
is what it is.
Who knows? Yeah. I didn't even watch it.
Yeah. Neither did I. Because it wasn't like the Jaguars Raiders anyways. So.
Yeah. I had zero interest in that.
Yeah. So, So I mean, the schedule is going to look like for Rival Talk over the next month or so, a few weeks. So we got today we're recording this. We're going to kind of discuss our three players to watch from each of our teams, and then we'll preview our upcoming first games of preseason. Second week we'll kind of look at who's been impressing and making some moves, and then we'll recap game one, preview game two. The third week, we'll start winding down preseason, and then we'll recap the second game, preview the third game, and then the fourth week we'll have one kind of right there before week one of the season. That's when we'll just recap the preseason. Probably at that point we should have guys who've been cut. I think I know when we're recording that we should have who's been cut and whatnot, who's made the team. If not, we should have an idea of who's going to be cut and whatnot.
When's the all-important prediction episode?
Well, yep, that's it right there. Week four. So the end of the month, that'll be the one where we give our 2022 season predictions. That's for divisions, playoffs, and awards. So
nice. Yeah, that's my favorite one. I enjoy that one.
Yeah, we always get those right, don't we?
Oh yeah, I've been probably dang near 5% correct on those. It's pretty high.
Yeah. Well. At least you've won the important thing, though, so for 2 years in a row. So congratulations on your victory for the third one.
Congratulations this year on your victory.
Speaking of which, we're almost at fantasy football season too, so yeah.
I know, yeah. That's it comes at you quick. That's what she said this time of year, but it's just great. It's just a great time of year.
It also helps when we gotta shout our boys out here. It also helps when your baseball team is right in the playoff race and holding the playoff spot. So
yeah, usually we're already kind of just completely given up on baseball. But now we actually do have some stuff to look forward to, and hopefully they keep it up.
We do, and we might have someone to look forward to out here, right?
I don't know. Do we? Maybe we should just tease that.
Tease what?
I don't know.
Exactly. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get into it now. Like I said, this episode we're going to be just previewing three players from each of our teams who we, keeping an eye on, who's been impressing and whatnot. So, yeah, Marcus, why don't you kick it off here? Who's one guy that you've got your eye on there in Niners camp?
All right, I'm going to go first off with the Emmanuel Mosley, who's one of our starting cornerbacks. I've been pretty high on him the last couple years. He's been kind of injury prone, but I think this year he might take a step to be that CB1 that we've been missing. And I think he's going to be our best cornerback, and that is including our new sign, Trevarius Ward, that we signed from the Chiefs in the offseason.
All right, well, for me, I'm sticking to the same position. Talked about him in the previous episode with the others. Kobe Bryant, the fourth-round pick that we took from Cincy, the one who played opposite Sauce Gardner, who, in my opinion, when you play opposite Sauce, Sauce got all the attention, but I feel like Kobe did all, what they were saying, so quotes, the dirty work. Like, he wasn't slacking off over there. I mean, he was the one getting all the attention because they weren't throwing the Sauce as much. So Kobe, and he was the one getting all the attention. He still locked it down over there and helped Cincinnati have one of, if not the best, pass defense in the nation. So I'm really looking forward to this guy. It's 6'1", so he's a good PKO type cornerback. Jim Thorpe winner. I really believe, I do believe that he's going to win the job come out of camp. I think he's going to be our starting cornerback coming out of camp.
Nice.
And he has all the tools and talent there to be a true lockdown because we haven't really had a true lockdown since Sherman. So I feel like Kobe, Sherman was a 5th round pick and Kobe's 4th. So one round above Sherman. So I feel like there's something about those middle rounds with cornerbacks with the Seahawks. Pete and John know how to pick them. So. And from what I've been hearing so far, there have been nothing but good things so far. I've even heard someone say he's been the superstar of camp. So I know he's making. Yeah, I've heard he's making some plays, pass defenses on Colby Parkinson, who I know that's not a big name, but he's 6'8", and he's been knocking balls away from him. He's been making some plays on DK. So say what you will, who's throwing him the ball between Locke and Smith, but still making some plays on DK and another guy who's 6'8". That's some pretty good stuff there. So. Yeah, Kobe Bryant will be. That's the
you
one.
guys had 2 draft picks that I was not really happy with, and one was him, and one was I always forget his name, but the offensive tackle.
Abe Lucas.
Yeah, those were the 2 picks that you had that I was not happy with because I liked them. So.
Yeah, what a shame, huh?
Yeah, crying shame.
All right, who's your number 2?
All right, my number 2, I'm going to go with running back Elijah Mitchell, who obviously had a pretty good year last year as a rookie. He was pretty excellent, actually, other than the games he missed due to injury. But from everything I've been hearing so far is he's taking a clear step forward from last year, and he was already really great last year. So he's getting better in the passing game, the pass blocking game. He's getting tougher running between the tackles. I think he truly can be an every down back, depending on his health.
Now, what happened to Trey Sermon?
Trey Sermon has basically just fallen off the map. He's going to make the roster by all accounts, but right now I would say he's probably 3rd or 4th on the depth chart. It would go Elijah Mitchell. Number 2 would go maybe Davis Price, our rookie that we drafted at LSU, and then Jeff Wilson Jr. is still there, and then Trey Sermon. So although they have been saying Trey Sermon has looked better than last year, I don't know what that means until I see him in a game. So right now there's something about Trey that he just doesn't, he dances too much back there, and most of our other running backs, they see the lane and they hit it, and he just doesn't do that, and that's real big in the Shanahan running game. So if he could learn that, he probably has more physical tools than all the other running backs, but he just hasn't learned that skill yet.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell's one I got my eye on too for fantasy purposes. So.
Yeah, and yeah, it does suck that we took Trey Sermon in the 3rd round last year, but Elijah Mitchell was undrafted, so it kind of was like one took over for the other, so no harm, no foul type thing, I guess.
Well, my number 2 must have been like looking at my notes because it's running back for me also. So I'm sticking with the positions. Kenneth Walker III. I've been raving about this guy in a couple videos we've had since the draft. To me, this was. As much as I love Kobe Bryant went out, to me, this was our best pick, which I know a lot of people out there didn't agree with, but I'm sure they're probably changing their minds now after the Chris Carson news, which I figured that Carson, especially after seeing that pin in his neck, I knew he was done after seeing that. So that plus Rashad Penny, while he looked great at the end of the year last year, he has a major injury history. So this to me, this was a home run of a pick for the Seahawks getting Walker and getting him where they got him. So. And I know from what I'm hearing, I've seen some highlights too. He's been explosive and fast at the edges. He's also been getting involved in the passing game too, and make some plays as a receiver too out of the backfield. So that's been interesting to hear. And I'm thinking, I do think Penny's probably going to come out of camp and start the season as a starter, but whether by injury or performance or whatever, I do think Kenneth Walker is going to be the starter by. I'm going to say week 5. By week 5, Walker's going to be the starter and the workhorse. And even though he might get a little bit late to the party starting, I still think he's going to do some things in the first few weeks before he becomes a starter to really put himself in that Rookie of the Year conversation. So I do think he can be a Rookie of the Year, at least a finalist for the Rookie of the Year. So.
Yeah, I would say unfortunately I kind of agree with you there, and I don't think he's as good as a Jonathan Taylor. I saw them both in the Big Ten, being a Nebraska fan, and I think he's kind of a light version of Jonathan Taylor and could have a
home run
slightly
hitter,
similar impact. He's an all-around running back. That's all there is to
Yeah,
it.
I remember watching the game he had against was it Michigan, I think, last year.
Yeah.
We had the 6 touchdowns. I was like, man, that'd be fun if we could draft that guy, and yeah, we did. So
Yep.
It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so who's your third guy?
Well, number one, I think this is probably a broken record. I think I said the same thing last year, but I'm going to go wide receiver.
Oh my God.
And this has to be the year for him. He started last year terribly. The first 5 weeks he was non-existent, and then he came on strong the rest of the year. And this preseason he has just been hammering it home, basically. I've also heard that he's been super assertive when Deebo was gone, which now we have Deebo, so they're back together. But he's been becoming a leader out there, a talker. He's being aggressive, and that's just what I need to see from Ayuk, because that's basically the reason why he hasn't been successful, in my opinion. He's too timid. If he can just go, he's got more skill than Deebo Samuel, if you ask me. But Deebo's just a dog, and Brandon Ayuk has not been a dog. And if Brandon can take that step, Ayuk can be what I think he can be. We're gonna have 2 awesome receivers for Trey Lance to throw to. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I laughed, not because of being Ayuk, but I laughed because
Are you taking a wide receiver?
my third one is also a receiver. So yeah,
What's going on?
interesting how that worked out.
Weird. I swear, and we did not talk about this.
Yeah, no, we did not. But you're going to recognize this name actually. This is a bit of a wild card, a dark horse, I think. Marquise Goodwin. That's my third guy to keep an eye on. I've been hearing a lot of good things from him in camp. And that competition for the third spot, I don't know what's happened to D. Eskridge, but he's been battling some injuries too, apparently. I think just soft tissue stuff. So I'm not really counting on him for anything. So that competition there is really wide open for the third spot. And Marquise Goodwin, he's a veteran, and he's been in the league for years, and he's a guy that, like Lockett and Metcalf, can take the top off defenses. So I mean,
absolutely.
You put those 3 together, you got 3 receivers right there with that speed, and I know that's something that Pete's been really trying to build now. This post Russell Wilson era's speed on both sides of the ball. I mean, I feel like Goodwin fits right into that in that third spot. Granted, of course, everything comes back to who's going to be playing quarterback. If you have Drew Lock back there, if he's going to be the starter, he definitely has more of an arm than Smith. So I feel like that would be a better combo there with Lockett, Metcalf, and Goodwin there in the third spot. Drew Lock is there throwing passes, but if it's Geno, I don't know if he's got the arm to really, to really play that offense where we take the top off defenses. But yeah, I mean, like I said, he can stretch defenses, and he can bring some veteran savviness to that wide receiver locker room. Which thinking about it now, Tyler Lockett now is the oldest guy on the team. I think he's the veteran guy now. So
Wow.
I think wide receiver is where we're really might be the strongest on the team. I feel like so. It's just a matter of who's gonna be throwing the balls to them. So.
No, Goodwin, he's a pro for sure. But back when Shanahan first got here, he was one of our first signings, and we had a terrible team. We had it was Brian Hoyer was throwing to him, and he was our best wide receiver. So I mean, he did some things. And then I think he kind of got derailed by a few injuries. He had some personal issues with his family. I know. We don't need to get into that, but nothing bad on his part, but just some bad things that happened to his family. But he's a good guy. He's a pro. He's fast. He'll get it done at that third spot to take the top off for sure.
So. Real quick thing I meant to talk about before we got into this, because we both have some news actually to share. I mean, everyone knows it, but we might as well talk about it. Both our receivers getting paid.
Oh yeah.
So
basically identical deals for the most part. I mean,
I think DK was getting 100,000 more than Tebow, right? Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah. I think you got DK got 375.
372. Yeah, DK got 372. I think 30 guaranteed. I think.
Oh, okay. So yeah, then Deebo, man, I think Deebo got like 50 guaranteed out of the whole deal. But whatever, it is what it is. They're both going to play out the contract. They're both going to get the exact same amount for the most part. Because the guaranteed's important, but it's not like these players are going anywhere, are going to get cut. So it truly doesn't matter. They're going to get the full contract. They'll probably get all their incentives, and they'll be worth every penny, both of them. I'm quite sure.
Yep, yep. All right, so we'll get into our first preseason games now. So Marcus, you got. Before we get started, I mean, you're probably not going to have too much. We talked about this before we got started. You're not going to have too much to talk about for preseason games, probably, because a lot of things are set for you. For me, however, the Seahawks, there's going to be a lot to talk about from each of these and a lot to watch for. Since like I was telling you before we started, this is going to be the most important preseason for the Seahawks in 10 years. So there's a lot that I'll have to look at and talk about, but not much for you probably.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the 49ers roster is quite set at every position. There's a few things. By the way, we're playing versus Green Bay, first game of the preseason.
Good old playoff rematch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the blood will be running hot between these two rivals in the first preseason game. Probably not.
Hey, it was when the Seahawks went to Denver after the Super Bowl for preseason. They were all hyped up over there.
Were they really?
They really were. They really were.
Oh, okay. Well, I truly have no idea what you think about this game. Probably, I don't know. I myself cannot stand preseason sports of any kind, but I do watch NFL preseason games. That's one of the only. I don't watch spring training. I don't pay attention to Husker football spring practice. I just cannot stand it. But the NFL has a pull on me for things like this, and because I do like to see the young guys out there. And for spring training in baseball, you see young guys, but half of them don't even make the team anyway. So it's not like you're seeing much. But what I will say for the 49ers in Game 1 against Green Bay, I mean, for one, clearly I want to see Trey Lance out there. He's not been having the greatest camp ever. I don't know what that means. Jimmy G never had good camps either. A lot of quarterbacks don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I think too much.
Defense.
Yeah, I think too much sometimes is put into all that stuff. Like training, like it's a start. I mean, it's a start of things. You're getting your feet back under you. You're learning things. Like I think too much is put into the whole stock of he's not having a good training camp. And all that. So. Because usually it ends up being the reverse. The guys who had the great training camps don't do so well in the season, and the guys who had poor training camps do well in the season. So.
And a lot of times you're trying to work on your weaknesses, and when you're working on weaknesses, you're doing things that are uncomfortable, and that will, that will lead to some bad plays. And I'm totally fine with making the mistakes in preseason. And while I do think Trey Lance might start a little slow, it's going to take him some time to settle in. I'm definitely not worried about any preseason performance, but. I do want to see him out there clearly and look competent at least running the offense. That's one. Strong safety is kind of a position that's still open right now, and it's between my guy Travarius Moore, who I love, and he tore his Achilles last year, and apparently has bounced back and is battling for that strong safety job along with Talanoa Hufanga, who was my favorite draft pick last year. And blocked the punt in the Green Bay Packers game last year to win us the game in the playoffs. So. That's kind of a battle I'm looking forward to. Besides that, I guess Nickelback. I don't know, not the band.
Your favorite band, right?
Yeah, slot cornerback, I guess I'll call it, so I don't have to say that name again. But Sam Womack, I think, is the leader in the clubhouse. He's a rookie, but I also think that I really think that we might slide Jimmy Ward, who's our starting free safety, into slot corner a lot. And then play both the other safeties, Hufanga and Moore, in the actual safety spots. I think that's going to happen quite a bit this year if they're all healthy. So I don't know. Overall, I just think we're pretty much set at most positions, and I just need to get through this game healthy, and hopefully everybody looks like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. That's the main thing too at preseason. Just be healthy, stay healthy, get through it.
Yep.
Well, hey, might as well just warm up too, right? Give us a score prediction.
Yeah, I got my popcorn ready.
Give us a score prediction. Might as well get warmed up for that.
Oh, score prediction. Wow. Jeez. Oh, God. 17-14 Packers.
Oh, all right. So they get the playoff revenge.
Yeah. I'll give it to them in the preseason. That's it.
All right. So do you think that Mr. Psychedelic QB over there is going to get any reps?
No, he will get 0 reps. He'll probably just be high on the sideline.
Just be one with the ocean.
God. Good old Aaron.
If you're watching and you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Aaron Rodgers and One with the Ocean. That's all I'll say.
he's just a treasure trove of news at all times.
Yeah,
That's
he
all
is.
he is.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, for the Seahawks, their first game next Saturday at Pittsburgh. It's kind of a weird preseason game. Can't remember the last time we played them in a preseason game, but whatever. Next Saturday at Pittsburgh. Obviously, the number one thing that we'll all be watching up here in the Northwest is that quarterback competition. That's the number one thing there. Gino, for most of the camp, has been set as the number one, but they had their mock game scrimmage thing yesterday. And apparently Drew Lock did really well. Like he pretty much lit it up, it sounds like, and he's been improving a lot too the last couple days. So I think Lock is starting to make his run now, his case for taking over that spot. From what I understand, the offense was more dynamic and faster with Lock there under center than it was with Gino, which kind of makes sense because Lock is more the guy that they can still kind of do some of that Russell Wilson type stuff with like the rollouts and the option pass and all that, whereas Smith is more the stand there and throw the ball guy. So I'm not too surprised there to hear that the offense is more dynamic with Locke. It's just a matter, too, of what I've been hearing and reading is him kind of getting that little gunslinger nature he has under wraps. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be a gunslinger, but you got to be able to be smart about it too. So that's really just the main thing. If he can be smart, if he can develop those smarts and not turn the ball over, then he could be pretty decent. So. So we watched that quarterback battle. I assume Gino's going to start. I assume they're going to play like equal amount, I'm sure Jacob Eason will get in there for a drive or two at the end. So, the next one I've been looking at is the defensive back battle. There is a bit of a battle going on there because I've been hearing a lot of good things about really all the defensive backs. So Pete and John, they're going to have their work cut out for them, it sounds like, when it comes to cut day for the defensive back room. And I'm not really surprised because we do have there's a lot of good players there at that defensive back position. So you got Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen, the two guys who I think eventually are going to be the next Brandon Brown and Richard Sherman between Bryant and Woolen, the next era of Legion of Boom, if you say so. You got Trey Brown there who's coming off that Achilles injury. I think he's been practicing. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but I'm not sure if he'll be playing in the game or not. But I do think Trey Brown could make a case to at least fit in that nickelback role. Then you got Artie Burns over from Chicago, working with Sean Desai, I think that's how you say it, Desai, whatever. So that's another pretty solid defensive back there. And then we brought back Justin Coleman, who had some good days, some good years here with us. There's also Ugo Amadi, but I think we're moving Ugo Amadi to safety now instead of defensive back, although he had some good moments at that nickelback position. So that defensive back battle is the other one I'm keeping a close eye on too. Because like I said, I think Kobe Bryant will be the eventual starter, and I've been hearing a lot of Sidney Jones too. Of course, how can I forget Sidney Jones? Sidney Jones has been hearing good things too, and he ended the season as one of the best cornerbacks according to Pro Football Focus, which take that with whatever you will.
It's something.
Yeah. And I've been hearing he's been having a pretty good camp too. So if I had to guess right now, I would say it's probably going to be Kobe Bryant and Sidney Jones as the two starters outside. But obviously things can change. Then I'll also be watching our offensive line. I mean, for the most part, the offensive line is going to be set in as what it is. I want to see how it's going to be and how they're going to come together and work together and how that can develop over this next month or so before the season starts. So. Really, the only position that's really, I think, up for grabs is that right tackle spot. They're not necessarily giving it to Abe Lucas like they are with Charles Cross at left tackle, obviously, because there is some competition there at right tackle. But yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, we got, obviously, Cross at left tackle, Damian Lewis at left guard, we got Austin Blythe at center, and then Gabe Jackson coming back at right guard. And then, like I said, that right tackle spot is where the competition really has been, and from what I understand, it's between Jake Curhan, Stone Forsythe, and then Abe Lucas. Now, I'm assuming Abe Lucas is eventually going to take over and win that job. I'm assuming, but again, you never know. I also.
Those names don't sound as bad as like the NFL is predicting your offensive line to be.
No, we'll get into that. We'll get into that over the next few weeks. How much the NFL is just. I don't get all these power rankings and things and all that are just bashing on
I've
the
seen you
Seahawks.
rated dead last in the NFL, and that just
Yeah,
seems very
yeah.
stupid to me.
Like, okay, if we're gonna get into this right now, it's literally they just literally look at us losing Russell Wilson and say that's it, they're done. Like we have the same exact roster, if not better. We've added we have a better roster than we had last year at this time. So I don't understand. Literally, just because they took off Russell Wilson off the roster, I mean, I get it. Quarterback is important, but the style of offense and gameplay that Pete wants to run, quarterback isn't everything. We're rebuilding. We're not rebuilding. Retooling the team as to how it needs to be for the system for it to be successful. And so that's just. But of course, everyone on the outside and all that is going to look at it and say, "Oh, you took Russell out, so they're nothing. They're going to be dead last." Which, whatever, I get it. But again, the roster is better than it was last year.
Yeah, some of the rankings are just I just have to shake my head because I don't like your team, but there's no way they're the worst team in football. It's not even going to be close to that if you ask me.
No, they're not. So like I said, that's what I'll be looking at. Sticking with the offensive line real quick. Cross and Lucas, I've been hearing that, of course they've been really good in pass blocking, that's what their specialty is. They are working on the run blocking. I've heard Lucas a little bit. That might be why Lucas is kind of behind maybe on as far as getting that right tackle spot, because he's kind of taking a little more time to develop and work with that in the run blocking scheme. But I've been hearing Cross has been doing pretty well picking it up. So if Cross can develop that run blocking to go with that already elite pass blocking has, and I mean, looking pretty good there. So
a lot of times offensive tackles from the Pac-12 don't have that run blocking prowess at the very beginning, but that doesn't mean that they can't get to it.
Exactly. So so that's what we got. It's preseason, fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything else you want to add in?
Man, no. I'm just excited to get it started and just like have some more news other than training camp to be able to actually see some things on the screen and training camp's good and everything, but you truly do not know what to take out of it most of the time because you don't know what exactly how they're practicing and what I don't know. They each know each other's playbooks, so it's like if people are performing well in training camp doesn't necessarily mean they're going to perform well against another team. So it's,
sure.
Can't wait to see it on screen and get this season started. Actually.
Yep, it'll be here before we know it.
Yep, can't wait.
All right, well, I guess that's all we have. Then we're not doing any top fives right now, or anything like that. I think we went through pretty much all the top fives we do last year. So
yeah.
We'll figure out some for that when the season comes. So.
That's your job, Mr. Content Creator. We'll figure it out.
I'll get on it. So, all right. Well, hopefully the Mariners hold this lead that they were supplied by that Jesse Winky guy. So.
Yes, second grand slam of the season.
Yeah.
Not for Jesse, but for the team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow me on Twitter. And Seahawks Nation, let's ride.